Did you know some foods are better off not being refrigerated? Now that's a thought that could make the most seasoned foodie raise an eyebrow. It's a common misconception that every edible item we bring home from the grocery store needs to be immediately stashed away in the chilly confines of our refrigerators. But, as it turns out, not all foods are made for the cold. Some actually thrive outside the fridge, maintaining their flavor, texture, and nutritional value much better at room temperature. In this video, we're going to reveal 6 such foods that defy the refrigeration rule. We'll delve into the science behind their optimal storage conditions and debunk the myths that have led us to believe otherwise. From the humble tomato to the aromatic coffee bean, you'll be surprised by what makes the list. So buckle up, food lovers. Stay tuned as we uncover the first food you should never refrigerate. First on our list, believe it or not, is the humble tomato. Now, tomatoes, with their vibrant red hue and juicy insides, are a staple in many kitchens. But did you know that refrigerating them can actually do more harm than good? Let's delve into this. When tomatoes are refrigerated, the cold air interrupts their ripening process. This not only alters their texture, turning them mealy and unappetizing, but also impacts their taste. The low temperature can cause tomatoes to lose their flavor, turning them bland and far from their original tangy goodness. Instead, tomatoes are best kept at room temperature where they can continue to ripen naturally. This allows them to maintain their delicious taste and perfect texture. Just place them on your kitchen counter, away from sunlight, and let nature do its work. So, next time you have some tomatoes on hand, remember to keep them out of the fridge. Trust us, your taste buds will thank you. Moving on to our next food item, onions. Now here's an oddity. You may think that tossing your onions into the refrigerator will prolong their shelf life, but this is a common misconception. When you refrigerate onions, it creates a moist environment that can actually lead to moldiness and a mushy texture. Not exactly what you're after for a crisp salad or a sizzling stir-fry, right? Onions are a bit like Goldilocks. They prefer conditions that are not too hot, not too cold, but just right. A cool, dry place is the ideal home for your onions. Think about a pantry or a cellar, somewhere that mimics the ground they grew from. This way, you maintain their inherent crunch and robust flavor. It's also worth noting that once an onion is cut, however, it should be refrigerated to prevent bacterial growth. But until that knife slices through, let them breathe. So, keep your onions away from the fridge to maintain their crunch and flavor. Our third food, honey, should also never see the inside of your fridge. You might be thinking, why? Well, when honey is refrigerated, it can cause it to crystallize. Yes, the golden, syrupy delight that we love can transform into a grainy, hard substance. Not quite the texture we're after. Now you might be wondering, does this affect the quality of the honey? It doesn't. The honey is still as good as ever, but the change in texture does make it harder to scoop out and use. That's why it's best to keep it at room temperature. And how about those who actually prefer their honey crystallized? Well, you're in for a treat. You can actually induce crystallization by storing your honey in a cooler place. But let's not forget the fridge is not that place. So, what's the takeaway? It's simple. Honey should be kept at room temperature. Remember, keep your honey in the cupboard, not the fridge. Next up, potatoes. Now, who doesn't love a good spud? Whether it's mashed, baked, or fried, potatoes are a global staple. But here's the thing, refrigerating your potatoes could be doing more harm than good. When you chill potatoes, the cold temperature turns their starch into sugar more rapidly. This not only alters their taste, making them unusually sweet, but also their texture, giving them a gritty feel. Even worse, when these sugar-laden potatoes are cooked at high temperatures, it could lead to the formation of a chemical compound called acrylamide, which some studies suggest may have health implications. So where should you store your potatoes? The answer is simple. A cool, dark place. A pantry is ideal, but any dark cabinet away from heat sources will do. This helps maintain their quality, keeping them fresh, tasty, and ready for your next culinary adventure. So, keep your potatoes out of the fridge to maintain their quality. The fifth food on our list is garlic. Now, who doesn't love the flavor punch that garlic adds to our dishes? But storing it can be a bit tricky. Many of us make the mistake of popping garlic into the fridge thinking that the cold will preserve its freshness. But that's where the Garlic Gaffe comes in. Refrigerating garlic can actually lead to mold growth and sprouting, the exact opposite of what we want. When garlic is stored in the fridge, the cold, humid environment encourages it to sprout. And let's not forget the mold. The moist fridge conditions are the perfect breeding ground for mold to thrive, turning your garlic into a fuzzy, unusable mess. Instead, garlic prefers a cool, dry place. A pantry or a cabinet away from the stove or other heat sources would be perfect. This helps keep your garlic fresh and ready to add that punch of flavor whenever you need it. So, remember to keep your garlic out of the fridge. Last but not least, we have coffee. Now you might think, but wait, I've been told to refrigerate my coffee beans to keep them fresh. Well, it's time to debunk that myth. Refrigerating coffee can indeed affect its flavor and aroma. You see, coffee beans and grounds are highly absorbent. They can easily soak up the flavors and smells of the foods around them. Imagine sipping a coffee that tastes like last night's leftover lasagna. Not so appetizing, right? Moreover, the moisture in the fridge can cause the beans to deteriorate faster, leading to a stale brew. So, where should you store your precious beans? The answer is simple: in an airtight container at room temperature. This way, you can preserve the rich, full-bodied flavor of your coffee for that perfect morning cup every single time. And that's it for our list of foods you should never refrigerate. Enjoy your food at its best by storing it the right way. To summarize, not all foods are meant for the refrigerator. Let's jog our memory a bit. Tomatoes, these bright red fruits or vegetables for some, are not meant for the chilly confines of your fridge. The same goes for onions. The cold temperature alters their texture and can make them moldy. Sweet, golden honey, too, should be kept far from the cold. The low temperature can cause crystallization, transforming it into a lumpy mess. Potatoes, the versatile root vegetables, also take a hit in the refrigerator. It changes their starch into sugar, affecting their taste and texture. And who could forget garlic? It prefers a dry, ventilated environment, not a humid refrigerator. Last but not least, coffee, the elixir of life for many. It absorbs odors in the fridge, which can compromise its rich flavor. Remember, proper food storage is key to maintaining freshness and flavor. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you learned something new today.